Good morning.
That area.
Gentlemen.
Oh, look who's in charge.
Yes.
Oh, my God, we're in trouble.
I'm sorry, I gotta button my top button.
Chris is not going to be with us this morning, so I will be chairing the meeting, and the first order of business is the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is visitors. Is there anyone who would like to speak at this time? Yes, Tom.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is this on?
That's
yes.
just for their
Okay.
recording.
Thank you. Yes. Good morning. I'm Tom Schultz, chair of the Clinton Human Rights Committee. I'm here. Mary Jane Ingalls on the agenda this morning for approval. Unfortunately, she has COVID, so she's not going to be here this morning, which is too bad because she's awesome and much better looking and smarter than I am. So I can't really do a good job maybe of speaking on her behalf, but I actually, she's a longtime resident of Clinton and has done a lot of volunteer work in the past. She was on the Board of Education at one point. Some of you may know her children's in school. She, I think she's going to be an excellent addition to our committee, so I hope that you'll feel that you can approve her this morning. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thanks, Tom.
Anyone else? Okay, moving along. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of October 18th, 2023?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, item number 4, appointments and reappointments. Does anyone have a problem with the appointment of Mary Jane Angle to Human Rights Committee after listening to Tom? Would anybody
Known her for a long time.
want her to be here in order for her appointment to happen?
Is she in the health? She was in health.
I'm good.
Okay, all right. Do I hear a motion to appoint Mary Jane?
So moved.
To the Human Rights
Second.
Council for a term of July 1st, 2026. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Next is Adeline Terranova and Dave Smith for the Beautification Committee for a term until June 30th, 2024. Does anybody have any? You are Adeline?
I'm Adeline.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Adeline?
Does this fill the 9 positions now for this committee? Nine.
Right, this is going to fill up the 2 that we just added.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep, that'll be a great addition.
Okay. All right. Do we have any,
I make a motion that we approve Adeline Terranova, I'm sorry, for the Beautification Committee.
And Dave Smith.
And Dave Smith.
Well, is Dave Smith here?
Yes.
Oh, fine.
That's me.
oh.
Go ahead,
all right.
Mr. Smith. Could you
Okay.
say a couple words?
I've been working with these guys for a couple of years, or probably a year and a half now, and we put in a bunch of different things down by like the 70-foot garden down at Indian River and a few others, and I'm a master gardener for about 5 years now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Works for me.
Add Mr. Smith to my motion. I didn't know he was here.
All right. So we have a motion to approve Adeline Terranova and Dave Smith.
Yes.
Seconded?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Motion to appoint Lawrence Edwards to the Inland Wetlands Commission from alternate seat to full seat for a term until June 30th, 2024. So this is just a move from alternate to full seat. Do I hear a motion to approve that?
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And next we have Robert Corson, who is filling that empty alternate seat for a term until June 30th, 2026. Bob is here if anyone has any questions. Do I hear a motion to appoint Robert?
Bob, got anything to say or no?
I'm just looking forward, you got a great meeting going on there. I've been watching a lot of the meetings and actually attended a few of their meetings. Everybody works well on it, I'm very forward to actually working on it.
Great.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, next we have on the agenda, we have the Sustainable Connecticut Bronze Certification, and I see the Sustainable Committee is represented here.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Brett Martin. This is Sue Connell on behalf of the Sustainability Committee. About 2 weeks ago, we went up to Winsted, Connecticut, and we were awarded with the Sustainable TT Bronze Certification. 5 years in the making, and we'd like to turn it over to the Town Council.
Oh, that is wonderful. Congratulations.
You say 5 years?
Yes, 5 years in the making, yeah.
We do want to recognize that there was a lot of people that put effort into this. We just came on board at the last minute and pulled it together. So there's a ton of people that made this happen, and I couldn't be prouder of our town for it. And next steps, we are actually kind of on a rebuild at this point. We're down to just Brett and myself as co-chairs, and Abby Purcell, who also helps us on the committee, but that is the membership right now. So if you guys know anybody that would like to join sustainability, it's a whole new day. It's really exciting. One of the first things that we're doing is we're looking at our charge as a committee.
Our mission statement.
It basically needs to be totally rewritten now that we've attained the certification, because that was the main focus for it. So now we really look forward to working with all the committees and commissions and everybody in town to go forward with a lot of these different areas of sustainability. So, very excited.
All right.
That's
Well, thank you
great.
so much,
Thank
and
you.
thank you for your great work.
At this time, I'd like to make a suggestion. She has her cell phone. I'd like to have the group present to you and Carl. A little photo for them, presenting us the town. Come on, you got here the right day. You know what day to come.
Sure.
Thank you.
I know how you love having you take care of.
All right, we're good.
Like over here.
Where do you want to do it, Mary?
Hey, Chris, you stay up here.
Yeah, let Chris stay.
No,
He's tall.
and we don't have to be there. I don't care. I just thought.
Stay there,
you'd
Chris.
Go ahead. All right. I just thought to give it to Carl, you know, he's a big guy, handsome guy, he's always
Would you like to be
involved.
How do I do this and be safe?
Yeah, I'm the tallest guy.
Yeah, we'll put you in the back, Dennis.
Thank you for that suggestion. This is awesome.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great job. Great job. Thank you very much.
Here, Carl.
You're welcome.
Say, you know what? You guys working together with it.
Yep.
I was watching it for 5 years. You guys pulling it together is what it did.
Wow.
It's what did it. It really did. I saw it.
You got Sue and Abby are great.
Yeah. Good for you. Thank you.
Have a good day, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Item number 6 is extending the audit agreement for 1 year. I'm going to hand that over to Carl.
Yeah, so our original audit engagement with our current auditors would expire with the audit that they're about to present. We do have the option to extend it on 1-year opportunities if that's so desired. I would recommend that we extend it, given the fact that we're going to be in transition in the finance department with the finance director. The cost for the audit going to do fiscal year '24 would be $63,300, which is up from where it was based on the bid, but market conditions have been pushing costs of audits upwards.
All right, thank you. Do I hear a
I'll
motion
move that.
to?
I agree.
I'll second it.
We need some continuity
Any
here.
discussion? No, I think at this point, it's more important than ever to have continuity going through this procedure. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Chairman's report, well, he's not here, and I don't have anything to report. Other than I haven't heard otherwise, but I hope we had a happy and successful Halloween night last night, so all's good. And item number 8, the town manager's report.
So you have my written report. in process on the peddling ordinance change after what was discussed at the last meeting. The COG meeting was somewhat interesting, where a little bit more information was released from the state on the America 250 program for where they see that going and timelines. There's stated potential for grants, but no specificity, nor was it clear how much money there actually was at play. But more will have to come out of that. Did receive notice from the Connecticut Water Company. They did mail out notices to all of their customers. Two-page notice which describes their pending hearing process before PURA on an increase in their rates. So it describes some public hearings. 2 are in person, they are not local. And then there's another one that's virtual for public that may be interested. The fireboat was discussed previously at a council meeting. The conversation focused on how to pay for it, but we ultimately are going to need some kind of appropriation. We don't really finance this stuff without an appropriation, and there was no appropriation in the budget. So we'll have to address the appropriation process, but to get the ball moving, we'll be taking an initial installment of funding from the reserve fund to pay for boat design, at least to get the wheels moving, so that we can secure our slot with the manufacturer and go through the manufacturing or the design phase, which will take a while to get finalized. There's another opioid settlement which is lining up for the town. We've been part of multiple class actions from manufacturers and from pharmacy distributors. This most recent settlement comes from a lawsuit against McKinsey, who were an advisor to folks on how to sell more opioids. Other item, the registrars and I met this week to talk about how we would be rolling out early voting and what it means to Town Hall, where it would be, how we would position things, schedules, what the impact would be to the room that we'll be using for early voting, which is to be the Rose Room. That has an impact on this room for handicap access to the Rose Room. So things are going to have to roll out a little differently. The state is supposed to be providing a grant of $10,500 to offset operating expenses associated with offering early voting. That grant is only specific to the presidential preference primary. And we're already anticipating that we will go through that grant, if not more. And that's sort of been the general theme of every municipality, believes that they're going to go through that money pretty quickly, given how long you have to be doing early voting, the hours involved, the staffing involved, that it's going to chew up the state's grant. Only other item to call your attention to is that we're going to need to have some special meeting to go into executive session regarding final discussions on Pearson, and be looking for direction from the council on dates for that. That's it.
Okay. Okay, and thank you, Carl. Now, item number 9, council discussion. Does anybody have anything they want to bring up right now?
I have a question on the opioid settlement. Was it McKinsey?
Yep.
And is that the state of Connecticut? Who sued them?
I don't know who actually sued them. The pattern has been different state attorney generals have sued them, sued the different people associated with it, and then there's group settlements that take place.
And they're settling?
Correct.
Do you know how much money?
Total settlement is $207 million. We don't have a breakdown on this for what it means to Clinton. The manufacturer ones, settlements have been a little bit more specific about what that means to us as a municipality. This was just early notice that there'll be more work that has to be done in order to pull down those dollars.
Thank you.
Also, on that, when that comes back to the town, what agency of ours gets to use that money?
It's not necessarily one agency. The settlements, and I would assume the McKinsey one would follow what the manufacturers have been, is it has to be tied to dealing with the consequences of overprescription of opioids. So it's been more of a public safety, human services are the departments that have been looking to use those dollars, buying response tools when somebody's overdosing that we've got.
And if I remember correctly, we already had some money last year given to us.
We've received settlements from 2 of the 3 manufacturers of opioids. One was doling it out on a per-year basis for 5 years. The second one just pushed all the money out all at once, rather than dragging it out. There's still one more manufacturer pending, and distributors, that lawsuit's, those dollars are also pending, so that was CVS, Walmart, Walgreens, the pharmacies, really.
Okay, I guess my driving question to all this is, who reports when that gets spent? Is that part of Sue's report to us as the finance director when she gives us those monthly or weekly, or should we call those entities in, just sort of give us an idea of how they spent that money that they have received already?
Yeah, the only thing that we spent it on is in purchasing some Narcan, and that was just to boost up what we have available to respond to an incident. The state is making more Narcan available, so we're supposed to be picking that up also, so that we've got.
So that's how we spent it, buying
That's
a
about how
lot
we've done it. We haven't
of the
done
Narcan.
anything
Okay,
programmatic-wise, because the first manufacturer distribution was small, and it made more sense to wait until you got more
right.
money and to do something
Okay.
more.
Thank you.
ambitious.
I have an issue that I wanted to bring up for discussion. So, I'm sure, and I'd be interested in Dennis's point of view on this. I'm sure you guys saw in the news, I know in Clinton, there's been a lot of carjackings and people coming in here and stealing cars and vandalizing cars. And the problem is they're coming from outside towns, and it's young kids, and they're dropping them off, and they're creating the crime. If they get caught, nothing really happens to them. So North Branford is putting something up towards the state or whatever they're doing to try to increase the penalty for these kids, if repeat offenders and things like that, to try to deter them from coming into these small towns and creating those crimes. And they were on the news, the town manager from North Branford, and he said, I'd really love to have some support from the surrounding towns. So I didn't know, Carl, like if there is a procedure to support, or if you guys agree, if you think that we should support that.
It's funny, I read that someplace myself, where actually what they did is they got a petition from their town council, town manager, from the town council, going to the state, petitioning the state, everything that you just said. That's an I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that would be something we should sort of look into as a council.
I would be
And back
very
it.
curious to see exactly what they wrote and what their thoughts, how they planned on implementing that and how it impacted police services and all that. I know that, no, I don't know, but I believe that the current consequences are virtually nil.
Right.
So if you could get that document and bring it to a council meeting, I think that would be well worth a discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, it's kind of,
Yeah. No, and actually, it's not like what the town itself is going to do, because everything's state. It's the town requesting from the state that they change the laws about
well,
what,
if it was something like that, that would be worth a council discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we
definitely.
need the specifics of what they asked for and what we could sign on for, be willing to sign on for.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Because I think there's more than just North Branford. I think you're right, Chris. I think there was several other towns also that had gotten involved with sending this
Well, I think-
petition to
I think
the
that,
state
yeah.
of Connecticut. I think it's a good thing to,
Yeah,
I
they were
think everybody
petitioning.
Follow up
would,
on.
They were petitioning for more support.
Right.
And I can
Well,
find out
it
more
would be more than
information.
support, it would be changing the rules, because the rules, the way they stand, aren't working.
They have to
Right.
change the law.
Right, but I think
So-
what they're asking for is a little bit more weight behind it.
Exactly.
There's like 10 towns that are bringing this to
There you go.
change these rules. Then it's more weight than one town.
Okay, does anybody have anything else? Because I just want to,
One question
Yeah.
is, where are we with Pearson and?
well, that's what I was going to bring up.
I just mentioned that you need to have a meeting
Right,
to
right.
discuss that.
So that, it was going to be one of the items I brought up also, was when would we be able to schedule the next, the discussion that would determine who we would move forward with.
Could it be after the next meeting, the middle meeting, the night meeting? Or are we too busy?
Well,
that
we
night?
have, don't we already have a meeting tagged on to the November 15th meeting?
I believe so. Could we do both? Is that possible?
Would it be possible to do both in that session? Well, is that November 15th meeting, that's before the town council meeting, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know, I think that's gonna,
No,
I-
it was just the executive session on the meeting.
oh, it is, okay, all right. Well, would we want to schedule a meeting prior to, honestly, I think it would, in my opinion, it would be the best idea, because who knows what the format's gonna be after the election, to have a meeting, say, an hour before the regular council meeting on November 15th to determine who we would like to move forward with as far as or how we would like to move forward as far as Pearson goes.
Yeah, I can't do it that week. I won't be there.
November 16th, you're not going to be available
15th.
for the town council
The
meeting?
whole week, yeah.
November 15th, you can't come to that meeting?
That's right.
Okay.
Carol?
Gonna be out of
Dennis
town.
made a comment also that pending the election and pending whoever wins gets installed is a month. And you guys set up that no decision can be made between that period. And if you're asking us to make a decision within that period, we'd have an issue with that, right?
We have,
I think Carl will address that, because it's part of the charter, Carol, that once the election, there's the lame duck
Period.
town council can't do anything until the new council is seated. There's no contracts being signed, there's no decisions, no anything.
And that's kind of an important decision.
and time is of the essence as far as that goes.
Exactly.
Well, it is.
Knowing that,
For a good reason.
if timing is an issue, should we do it prior to the election?
Well, if Hank's going to be all away, okay, so there is next week. You're around next week.
Yep.
How many hours ahead of time does it have to be posted to be legal?
Like 48 hours.
48 hours, so not this week.
Well, the election's the 7th, so you got about 4
Honestly,
days.
in light of the fact that
Maybe you could just email your schedule.
Hank isn't going to be here, and Tuesday changes everything.
Are you away next
What
week as
about
well?
Monday?
I'll be here next week.
Is there any chance of having a meeting on Monday of next week where we could talk about both of these items that will be thrown into the air on Wednesday? I mean, as of Tuesday with the election. Monday, we could have that executive session that was scheduled for Wednesday, and we could also have the Pearson discussion. Is there any issue with Monday? And please say no. Let's get this done.
I'm sorry, if I
I-
can enter mine in writing, I'm teaching on Monday night, and I always do.
Well, I'm available Monday, you know.
I'm available.
I'm available.
And if it takes 2 days, is Friday unthinkable?
That sends us back a month.
Friday's the Shoreline Soccer Championship, so
Well, that's vital.
that's vital. Monday, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm good Monday.
May I enter mine in writing? Is that possible? Or, you have a quorum with 6.
I really think we need
I
to
think it's
push
very
forward
important,
with
too.
this.
I think it's very important.
You could still do it the Wednesday without me, so.
Well, but that's after the election.
That's after the election.
that's right,
Can't
no
make a
problem.
decision.
Yeah, I'm sure Chris can probably make it, I don't know. I can't speak for him.
What about, so what would be, you mean you put you know what you would like to do with each of these topics and each of these
And
discussions?
I could write it up.
Would that fly, Carl?
Well, it could fly as fact as you could read it into the minutes of that night and talk about it, you know.
It doesn't
just-
count as a vote.
You would get her idea, her
Okay,
ideas.
it wouldn't, okay, all right. Then I'm going to make a motion that we schedule both of these discussions for next Monday.
6
Because
o'clock?
if we don't, it postpones the discussion for a month. And
People are waiting.
in the interest of fairness and moving things forward, I think we would be best served to have a meeting Monday night,
Wouldn't argue with that.
Okay.
Monday evening?
Monday evening.
You need a motion for that, Carl?
She just made it, I'll second it.
Oh, okay.
All right, so Monday would be the 6th,
What time
7
you want?
o'clock?
What time?
Monday the 6th at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
And
Good for
Carrie
you?
will.
The time?
Yep.
Yeah.
Carrie
7.
will bring her,
I'll send it to Mary.
Okay.
great, okay.
7 o'clock
And
Monday.
Carrie's opinions will be read into the minutes and, oh, no, there won't
No
be
minutes.
minutes. There won't be minutes, sorry, but, okay.
So
I'm
then you're not making a decision. So if you intend to make a final decision award, you have to do that in a public meeting.
Okay, but this keeps us moving forward. Well, couldn't we do, but we could do that on Wednesday? No?
No, because now it's a new council.
So how can we solve this?
The public meeting can't be done during that period of time, that lame duck session period either?
You can't do appointments, the charter,
What if
Well, you
it's,
can't do appointments, but I think
so it would be
Public
the
meeting?
Could have a
meeting
public
after,
hearing.
the meeting after elections and your subsequent new council seated, which is the second
Hey, how you doing, Chris?
Tuesday after the election.
what if it wasn't a new council?
It's still the council after.
let's
an
bring
election.
Chris up to speed. So Chris gets
Sorry
his
for
2
being
cents
late.
in. No problem, Chris.
Yes, theoretically, you guys who are running won't be installed until a month later, right?
It's the second Tuesday after the election.
Is that what it is?
Second Tuesday after the election?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
First meeting after the election is December 6th,
First meeting after the election.
after everyone's been sworn in.
So we can't
First
ma-
seated council is December 6th.
we can't
So-
make a decision unless it's a public meeting. This is the last public meeting, then the next one's December 6th.
You can
So
have
the
an-
only way we could do it is have a public meeting before the new council's installed, which is the Tuesday after the election, right?
You can
Well,
have
I
an
don't
executive
think the
session
pub-
to
Go
discuss
ahead.
it. You can talk about where you want to go. You can talk about negotiating strategy. You can talk about all that sort of stuff. If you intend to actually award it, you would have to do it with this council still able to make that decision, which is before the election, or you wait until afterwards.
So the only way this council can do it is if we call a public meeting on Monday?
No, you can't call a public meeting Monday because you gotta give them a week's notice or whatever. But I don't think the charter addresses the public hearings during that particular time. All it covers is the fact that the town council can't sign contracts, can't make appointments, or anything of that period during that lame duck session. But certainly, like Carol suggested, if we came in Monday night and discussed it and at least made a decision, you could move it forward to a town hearing whenever you wanted. Am I correct, Carl, in that statement? The town hearing is not addressed in the charter. All it's addressed is the
Town hearing
council
or
making a
public hearing?
decision.
Public hearing.
And all you're doing is hearing.
All you're doing is having a hearing.
All we're doing is listening.
So you can have the hearing anytime. The hearing is not addressed by the charter. The only thing that's addressed by the charter is that we can't make any decisions
And the
during that
public
lame
hearing would
duck
be
situation.
strictly regarding Pearson.
So if we met Monday, you could, in executive session, say what we want to say, because most of it has to be passed on to town meeting anyway, right? If you made a decision about Pearson, that would be passed on to a hearing?
Not immediately. You would need to make a referral to planning and zoning.
There you go.
Before it goes to the town
So it's
meeting.
plenty of time.
There's
So-
several steps that have to take place, so the council would have to understand where it wants to go, understand what that transaction looks like, pick your vendor, make a referral under state statute to planning and zoning. Planning and zoning has to give you a report. That takes 30 days at least. And then after P and Z gives you your report, then you would be at town meeting to talk about real estate transactions.
So having the meeting on Monday will continue the process.
Right, right. It will move that,
Just
our
move it
part will be
a couple of
done.
weeks sooner, yeah.
Right, right.
Having that process and the other process that we have to talk about.
Okay, okay. So at least we can do that.
Carl's shaking his head, I'm wondering.
No?
What is it? No? Okay.
You have to have a public meeting. You have to be in public to make the award. So you can have an executive session conversation, but the meeting will have to come out, be in public session, and then make your statement at that point in time.
Right. But before that, you said we got to send it to planning and zoning too, right? There's another 30-day step.
No. You make your decision. We are going to do whatever you're going to decide to do.
Right.
With a given vendor for that property.
Right.
That has to be said in a public meeting, not in executive session. That would be what sets off you then also have to move to make the referral to planning and zoning. This is delineated by statute in the charter, so you're
There's
going
nothing
to
you
have
can
to
do.
do two things.
So can you make a suggestion as to how we could handle that, tie that in Monday night?
Monday night, you have to have executive session.
Right,
And then you have to
right,
come out of executive
right.
session.
Can we
prepared to make those decisions.
Can we,
On Monday? We could do it on Monday?
Can we
Whatever
sched-
date you're shooting for, that's the sequence of events.
can we schedule a public meeting for, if we had our meeting at 6 o'clock on Monday, maybe we could schedule a public meeting for, Mary, can we schedule, could we do that today? Could we schedule, say, this meeting for 6 o'clock on Monday and schedule a public meeting for 7 o'clock? Is that too short notice? To have a meeting that we could come out and make these decisions for?
We'd have to get word out to the public, or they would not.
I
be
know,
happy.
I know. Well, that would be, that's easy enough.
But it's starting to have a maybe not great appearance if you zoom back out.
Who do you think is going to turn up anyway? You see the response we get. But in the interest of moving things forward,
How about I just double check on that and get back to everybody?
all right, but I want to keep that meeting scheduled for Monday. Would anybody have a problem making that at 6 o'clock on Monday?
That's an executive session for Monday.
Yes.
Now, when you have that, you have to specify what's going to be on that agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So what is going to be on that agenda for Monday at 6 o'clock?
Personnel.
You would go
and-
into executive session for real estate if it's associated with Pearson.
And what about personnel?
And personnel as well, wouldn't it?
That's up to you guys. I don't
personnel.
have any issue on that, whatever. It's-
And personnel.
You're going to decide what you're going to do.
Does anybody, okay, so I'm going to make a motion that we meet Monday night at 6 o'clock in executive session to discuss personnel and real estate. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
I guess the discussion is the point I made before. It's the night before the election, right? There's some perception to that.
Well, we either get this done so that we can move forward, or at least have a discussion, or we lose a month, and then we go into the holiday season, and when just things slow down in general for that time period.
I don't think the perception would be bad if it were an executive session, because we're the ones who've been working on it, and we should make the decision. I don't think the public would be upset about that. If there were a public hearing like that, then they would have something to say about it. But I don't think they'd have a problem with the executive session.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Do I need to abstain? I agree with the meeting, I just
Okay,
can't be there.
well, that's
Okay,
good. Okay, so
all right.
Chris?
Yeah, aye.
All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
Chris Anaskovich, aye?
Yeah.
Okay. So all in favor for a meeting at 6 o'clock on Monday night? Excellent. Thank you. All right, I had something else I wanted to bring up.
So just for clarity,
Yes,
is it going to be a public session?
I would like that. You mean
Mary's
immediately?
gonna check into it.
Yeah, Mary's going to check
All we
into
did
it.
was talk about the executive session. We didn't
Yeah.
say
Right.
about the public hearing.
What was that?
All we voted on was the executive
Yes.
session, right?
Right.
Yes.
So if we find that we can do that, how do you all feel about following it up with a public meeting Monday night?
Like Hank.
My perception issue again.
Well, you know what, I don't think, it all depends on how you present, if people have a problem, it's all, and how you present it to the people who have a problem with that. And honestly, I think if you tell people that we're trying to get things done so that we don't lose a month in negotiating with ongoing situations, then, I mean, a lot of your job is not to just receive people's maybe incorrect perceptions and clarify why we do what we do. I mean, you're their representative and you're acting in their best interest. And honestly, I feel as though this is in the best interest of the town to get these discussions out and underway.
As long as the town knows about it? If we can
Yeah,
get
as
it
long
in-
as the town knows about it.
How do we
Nobody's
get
trying
it
to
into the
slide
paper?
anything through.
How do we get it into the paper between now and then?
Well, you can't. But you can put it on Facebook, you can put it in emails to your constituents, you can,
Doesn't there have to be
Just
a
Facebook, I
printed
don't think you can.
notice?
does there have to be a printed notice,
I think it does.
Mary, for having a public hearing like that?
Are you having a public hearing or just a meeting? So you have to, if you're going to make an award, you have to have a meeting, not a hearing. So if you roll in and have a regular meeting to say, it is, we hereby award
Forget it.
whatever to XYZ, and this is where we want to go.
Just wait.
That's just a motion
You
to
should wait.
act. That's not a public hearing. If you want to have a public hearing
That's my view.
before you act,
We're trying to force it too hard.
Yeah.
The whole
Go ahead,
public
make your
hearing, the whole
opinion.
public hearing thing, I think we've already had that discussion, that the perception of the council makes the decision on what we're going to do with Pearson. We're the ones that have been in those meetings and have had the executive session discussions and have had the discussions with the developers. And I think it's always been my impression that at the point that that the seated council, or whomever it is, that we make that decision, that it's not a public hearing, because to open it up again to everybody and say, oh, what would you like to see it be? Now we're starting all over again. We've had that decision, we've had that discussion, we make a decision, and we have a meeting that says, here's the developer we've chosen, and this is how we're going to be progressing with the Pearson School. That lays on us, that's our decision, because we are the ones that were involved in those meetings and those discussions. Personally, I just think it's, I think we're just moving way too fast. I mean, there's a lot of other steps that we also need to do that are going to, it's just part of the process. And, to kind of push all this thing through on a Monday night and say we want to do everything on a Monday night, and my opinion, I just think it's too fast. I don't think we need to go through that process. If we'd like to have an executive session meeting, to have a discussion about
All
where
right.
we want to go, great.
Okay.
But I mean, to keep going and going and going and going.
Okay.
And, you know,
Withdraw
because again,
your
there is a
motion,
perception.
Carol.
Whether it's a good
All right.
perception or a bad perception, it's going to be a perception that some people think we're pushing it through. There's going to be a perception that we're not doing anything or whatever it may be. At this point in time, I think we've done all we can. I mean, I think we've done a great job, and I mean, it's a process. This isn't something that, you know, this is it. Once we make that decision, we're done. You know, the wheels start turning, and we go. So I think we just, like we said, we go into planning and zoning. We got a 30. There's a lot more that goes on. So I just think we're
So
pushing a
let the
lot.
dust settle and we'll wait
Have
until.
an executive session. I think fine. If
Okay.
we have a discussion about it, and then
Yeah,
extend on from that point
That
forward.
makes sense. It's just, yeah.
We don't have to worry about
You're
any
right.
perception.
You're
like,
right.
You know, are we trying to do something before a seated council comes in? Are we trying to do something? I don't need any
Yeah.
of that. I don't think
Okay.
anybody needs any of that.
So,
Carl, the developers are
as
not
usual.
expecting us to answer within the next 48 hours.
Okay.
We won't-
No, not within the next 48 hours.
They're probably used to
What?
municipal process.
Yeah.
I hope
It's
so.
not the quickest.
No,
Somebody.
no.
So
Okay.
we're not going to do anything Monday. Is that correct?
But
We already voted for an executive
we already
session.
voted to have that meeting on Monday, but we voted to have it at 6 o'clock.
That's all we're gonna have.
Wait, wait.
Yes.
Period. Well, that's all I wanted. It's just an executive session.
Dennis,
I didn't want any kind of trying to
We-
jam it down to people's throat.
Nope.
I just
We-
wanted our executive session to,
That's what's on.
okay.
we had voted to have the meeting at 6 o'clock because of the discussion of following it up. Do we want to amend that and make it 7 o'clock? Put it back to 7 o'clock, or what? Which is better, to have it at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock on Monday? 6? Okay, we'll keep it at 6 o'clock.
I don't think I have anything.
All right.
Sporting conflicts.
6 and 7, it's all the same to me.
Okay, so we have
That's
a
all I
meeting.
intended to do anyways, just have the executive session.
We have a
on
meeting
Monday,
at
that's all.
6 o'clock on Monday. I have another topic, the water company, that increase that they're looking for is 18%. I got that letter yesterday. It translates to $13 a month for your average family usage. So 18% sounds huge, but in terms of usage, water is still a very cost-effective commodity, and yeah, except for the town. Another thing I wanted to look at was in Carl's report. He was mentioning, the last item is hiring. Human resource issues continue to dominate a lot of Carl's time in an effort to fill vacancies. I know when Carl first came on the scene, we talked about how HR was part of his duties, and it continues to take up an enormous amount of time. And we're in a position right now, a unique position with everything that's going on in the annex with human services over there, to maybe revamp and reconfigure and take a new look at the services that the town provides, and maybe do some revamping and consolidating, because that job for the director has gone out 4 times now, and we have had no worthy applicants. And this takes up a tremendous amount of time that Carl uses, and I know, well, anyway, I had thought years ago that it would be great if we had an HR person in town to handle or to help with situations like this, where you're dealing with unions, and you're dealing with people, and you're dealing with contracts, and you're dealing with discussions that are incredibly involved, and, like I say, may reconfigure entire departments. So I just want to perhaps bring up the idea, this is just something to plant a seed in your heads. I met a woman recently who was a part-time HR consultant for various towns around here, and during budget season, I'd like to bring that up to us as a possible addition to our town, is having someone who is familiar with the process and how things look elsewhere, and can, and may be able to provide a lot of support for the town in terms of looking at other possibilities and situations and saving us some money in the short term as well as the long term with how we deal with positions.
Do you envision that HR person's responsibility is just the town hall, or also like police and fire?
I would think anything anything union-wise, they could take a look at and see if it's, I mean, I know Carl does an amazing job for us, absolutely has plowed through these contracts and has saved us a fortune as far as that goes. This is really, my thought right now is to look at the configuration of that department right now and see what we could do to make it more efficient, more useful.
You're talking about the HR person as a temporary help to fix that particular.
Yeah, well.
Two separate entities.
In gen-
Human Services is dealing with services that, the community services for, it has nothing to do with HR, really.
No,
It's two
the HR
separate
person would deal
entities.
with that. The HR person would look at that, and, well, anyway, I'm just bringing it up because.
You'd have to reconfigure.
You have to
you'd
have a
reconfigure
human
the whole-
services coordinator.
Exactly.
No, but
You'd
you would have to
have to
reconfigure the
recon-
whole town process, because per our charter, the town manager is the one who's in charge of the department heads. So, I mean,
And the charter gives Carl even more responsibility towards hiring.
and it isn't, I mean,
Not less.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's any town manager that comes in, so you also have to figure out, regardless of where we are today, where we are going to be 10, 15, 20 years down the road, when we try to hire a new town manager, obviously you would want input from a town manager, regardless of who's sitting in that seat, to have part of that involvement, if these are the individuals that are reporting to him, taking on more, I guess, obviously it's a budgeted item, so.
Right, so I'm bringing this up as a topic to consider during budget season. And the fact is that I feel like it's timely because of the situation we have over there. People leaving, departments empty. Anyway, okay, that's it. I'm done with discussion.
In conjunction with that, Carl, what is our problems? What is
No,
our
no, no,
problems
we're
with
not gonna
getting
have
this
that
human services guy? Are we getting people that just don't have the qualifications to come in, or is our money paying too low? What is the roadblock that we haven't been able to hire a human services director? It's been some time.
Yeah, I don't think it's unique. It's not unique to this go-around. Before David Malillo was hired, the town went 8 months without having one. So we're at 50% there to the 8-month benchmark of what you had before. So there's just not a lot of people who do that type of work with that type of credentials. So it's not like there's a lot of people floating around that do that work. Other types of jobs, you've got people floating around who do it. The nature of this work is very narrow, so there's not a huge candidate pool.
And there's no way that anybody that's existing already in that department that we could bump up or something? No. Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay. Moving on to Town Council Committee Liaison Reports. Does anybody have anything to report?
No, not this time.
Okay, hearing none, we move on to item 11, Executive Session, Personnel. So do I hear a motion to go into executive session and invite Carl and Mary to attend?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so item number 12 is ratify the appointment of Public Works Driver. Do I hear a motion to approve the appointment of, do I have to mention his name? Of the candidate for the truck driver position?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next is adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.